$3 trillion. That's right. Today, well, was the best session for the Dow since November 7th. And that's when your total market value is measured by the Wilshire 5000 was $22 trillion. Well, today got around that $25 trillion area. And I got to tell you, I don't care who you are in America, this thing will have a positive impact for you. Now, after the close, Snap Inc. today announcing the pricing of its initial public offering, 200 million shares, Class A common stock going for $17 a share, expected to trade tomorrow on the New York Stock Exchange under the symbol SNAP. This, of course, one of those infamous unicorn private billion-dollar companies. But the question is, are the halcyon days for these unicorns over? Here to discuss, Kurt Knutsson. John Steinberg is with us, as well as Shelby Holliday. Kurt, you're remote. I'll go to you first. What do you think about Snap, this IPO, and is it ready for the big leagues?
Charles, hey, good afternoon. I got to tell you, this is the biggest news out in California that I think we've seen. $22 billion on its valuation expected tomorrow, and an IPO that is also going to be the largest under President Trump. Now, here's what we've got. Just it's mind-boggling. This was a company that we warned parents originally was a sexting, underground kind of thing. You got to have your kids be careful on. That has evolved into 158 mainstream users every day, including mom and dad. Yeah. It got away from the sexting part and has become this wild, huge doll in the technology area. Can it sustain this? Well, if it's evolved from where it came from to where it is now, I would suggest you've got some good promise there with the CEO, Evan Spiegel. Despite being 26 years old, the guy's a control freak and knows what he wants. He
might be too much of a control freak, John. I mean, he's got all the voting power. Yeah. That evolution that Kurt's talking about has slowed dramatically. And they're not even marketing themselves on the Snap side. They're saying that they're a camera company. Yeah. Those are three red flags to me.
Well, the biggest red flag is just the price is insane. I mean, the company is a triumph. 70% of people below the age of 20 or 30 are on the product right now. The issue is that it's going to do, south of $1 billion this year. It's priced at $24 billion. Wall Street's basically giving it credit for a forward year, 2018 year of doing $2 billion in revenue. So the price is just nuts.
The price is nuts, and some of the photos they take. Someone took some photos of me with it earlier before the show. I'm confused with the. I mean, look at that. I'm looking like Sugar Bear from Sugar Pops. I mean, what the hell? I'm going to have a bowl of cereal looking at that thing, Shelby.
All right, I personally like to use Snapchat.
You're in that demographic, though. What are you guys hiding?
I'm Snapchatting behind the scenes here. It's a fun company. Snap says it's a camera company. Analysts say it's an advertising company. I think it's an entertainment company. And the risk is you have declining user growth, just like Twitter, and people start to trail off. They get bored with it. So, Facebook has created all of these reasons to go to Facebook. It's essentially a Rolodex, a birthday calendar, an address book, a place to share, a place to stalk. Snapchat's just a place where you kind of go hang out and see what friends are doing at this point.
The company's a triumph. The kids
I got you on that, and we love that. We celebrate that in this show, John, but now people are watching, and they're eager to buy the stock. It opens up at 20.
No way. I mean, Charles, that's where I was going with it. It's not binary. The company's probably worth $8, $10, $12 billion. It's probably worth something comparable to what Twitter is, right? But the price is not sustainable. They're going to miss earnings and revenue. You wouldn't go near this as an IPO investor.
There's also some really funky stuff going on with this IPO. As you mentioned, the founders are retaining control. I think a quarter of the float. They're requiring people to hang on to the stock for a year. Yeah. That has a lot of people really worried.
Of that $200 million, Kurt, that's going out there, $55 million coming from insiders. So that's listen, I get it. I know you guys in Silicon. I know you guys in Silicon Valley. You're the king of the world, but it still seems a little bit. It's a little problematic for me.
You think it's a little hyped up? I got to tell you, so all true about their growth rate slowing to 7%, and the fact is the market still calls it a doll. It's still giving it this sort of valuation that's coming out. And, I argue with, is it worth $22 billion? It's worth what the market's willing to pay for it. Can it sustain that? It all is dependent upon what happens next. So the biggest things going against it happens to be Facebook is number one. With their Instagram stories, that is virtually why this growth has slowed down. So then it is what comes after that. Now, if Evan and his co-founder Bobby are really good at evolving the company into the next thing, well, perhaps it pops again. But also just heard you all talking about it being a great advertising play.
As an investor, you don't need to deal with this tomorrow. As an investor, it's probably going to pop tomorrow. The other thing which is kind of weird about this is you couldn't meet a hedge fund investor that said that they were buying this IPO. And then your colleague from the Wall Street Journal, Miriam, who does the Heard on the Street column, I was talking to her today, and she said to me that there's sovereign wealth funds that might be going into this. So the entire thing is weird. You don't need to go through it. They're going to miss earnings and revenue. You can wait till they launch the next product. It's not going to go from here to 100 billion.
Ironically, I heard it was like 5 times oversubscribed, but I also heard it was a difficult roadshow for them too, guys.
Charles, that's
well, and their CEO doesn't like to talk. That's going to be a problem if you're a public company. You want to retain control. You don't want to talk.
All right, let's leave it there. And he's going to be a billionaire tomorrow.